What's going on, guys? I am Kevin Muller from Cinephellas, and I am here to talk about seven movies in a segment that I like to call Seven with Kevin. Now, before I start this, I want to apologize to Miss Regina Hall. Last time I did this video, I was talking about a movie called Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, and I kept referring to Miss Hall as Regina King instead of Regina Hall. Miss Hall, I apologize profusely for that mistake. And anyone who wants to see a great movie with a great performance with an actress we know from who does comedy really well and did the drama just as well, go see Honk for Jesus Save Your Soul. Regina Hall was incredible in that movie. I personally think that she should have been up for some awards. Miss Hall, I apologize. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on. The first movie we're gonna talk about is My Policeman. It is an Amazon Prime original, and it is about a forbidden gay romance. One of the two men in that romance is Harry Styles. Now, in 2022, he starred in two movies. He starred in this one, and he starred in Don't Worry, Darling. Personally, I think the guy's a good actor. He's not the best actor, but he is better than a lot of the musicians who try to cross into film. In this film, he plays a policeman back in the 50s and 60s who starts a relationship with another man, but Harry Styles is also married. The movie is typical. It is not one of the stronger gay romance films that I've seen. It's pretty mundane and dry and a little boring in places, but it is beautiful to look at. The cinematography is incredible. I saw this one when I was in Orlando on my friend's 70-inch TV, and some of the shots around the town and the countryside were just absolutely exquisite to look at. But unfortunately, good cinematography and a worthy performance by a singer turned actor will only go so far. And I'm gonna have to give this one 2.5 out of 5 Harry Styles hair pieces. Now, the next film I'm going to talk about is Duel. Karen Gillan, who we know as Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy and also Jumanji, she plays a woman dying of a disease, and to save her family the heartbreak of losing their only child, she clones herself. She goes to a science corporation who offers the services, gets clones. The clone comes out, and she says, "Hey, listen, follow me around. You know, get attuned to my life and how I live my life and my personality. And once I die, you'll step in, and my everyone who loves me will not know that I died." Well, in a twist of events, she beats the disease, and now she has a clone running around, and she goes to the science corporation and she says, "All right, I really don't need this thing anymore. How do you get rid of it?" And the science corporation informs her that that clone has as much rights as you, and the only way to continue her life is to fight for it. And they have to fight in a duel to the death. Pretty crazy stuff. And it's also crazy that the clone is everything that she is not. The clone is more charismatic, confident, friendly, and just a better version of herself. And that's where Aaron Paul steps in. He steps in as a trainer to teach Karen Gillan's character how to fight to survive and fight for the duel to save her life. Now, Riley Stearns, who directed his last film, was The Art of Self-Defense. If you know that film, it has a very deadpan style. This film has that similar style, so if you are not into Riley Stearns' style, don't even bother with this one. But if you are into it, you dig it, definitely check this one out. It's a twisted little tale. It's pretty funny in points. It's very dry, and there's a few twisted turns in there that I wasn't really expecting. I really enjoyed this film. Gillian is great as both the original and the clone. And I hope she does a lot more with this stuff now that she looks like she's starting to move away from Guardians of the Galaxy and the Marvel and the big budget films. So very good actress. And I'm gonna give this 3.5 out of 5 Karen Gillan hair pieces. Now, my next film is Aftersun. Aftersun was a film that I heard a lot about during the Oscar time. How great it was, how heartbreaking it is. It's a good film. I'm not gonna bash this film. It's a good film, but I just didn't personally connect with it as hard as everyone else did. The story is about Paul Mescal, who's the lead actor, who was nominated for a Best Actor Oscar during this past season. He's also going to be the lead in Ridley Scott's follow-up to Gladiator, Gladiator 2. I'm sure they'll come up with a subtitle down the road. He stars as a father who is on vacation with his 11-year-old daughter, and he's a fuck up. He tries his best, but he knows he's flawed, just like anyone else. I'm not a father, but I have friends who are fathers, and I just can imagine that trying to raise a child is a pretty daunting experience. And Mescal communicates that very well. He's scared, but he tries his best. Now, I really want to point out the performance of Frankie Corio, who plays his daughter. I thought she was just as good as him. I thought she should have been nominated for some awards. She has to take care of her father. She knows her father's a screw up, but she still loves him. That's it. That's her dad. She understands that people are flawed. The movie does hit the heartstrings a little bit, but again, I didn't hate this movie. It's a good movie. I'm giving this 3.5 out of 5 hair pieces. Paul Mescal hair pieces. But if you go see it, I recommend it. And maybe you'll come back and say, Kev, come on, man. You're like, what's wrong with you? This movie was incredible. Because I've gotten that for some people that I have talked to. So check it out for yourself. Again, not a bad movie. Well done. I just didn't connect with it. Now, a movie I did really like is number 4. It's The Watcher. The guys at the site have been begging me to watch this for the last couple of months, and I finally sat down and watched it. And it's a tense little Hitchcockian thriller. It is about a woman called played by Maika Monroe, who was in It Follows. She plays a wife of a Romanian. The story takes place in Romania, and she feels that she's being stalked by this guy. And there are also murders in the city happening. So she starts getting very uncomfortable and tense, and no one believes her. Everyone thinks she's just paranoid. Is she paranoid, or is this guy actually killing her? Plans to kill her. That's kind of like the fun of the movie. But the movie also has a lot of tense scenes in it. So tense that you can cut it with a chainsaw. And it also plays with the fact that, being in a city that she knows the limited language, and a killer is maybe trying to kill her. That's two things combined together that the film does really well. Monroe is great in it. I really hope she blows up a little bit better and more than than her star is currently in Hollywood. I think she's a very talented actress, and I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 Monroe hair pieces. Now, my next movie deals with an industry, and it is the porn industry. The porn industry is extremely popular, and the movie is called Pleasure. Now, Pleasure looks inside the dirtiness and the darkness of the industry. We have Bella Cherry, played by Sophia Capel. She is an innocent who comes to LA to make her mark. Now, the story is the typical A to B scenario, A being, her stepping up that plane, innocent, wide-eyed, and B being the destruction of the character and how her soul basically gets ripped from her body. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the box, but what makes this movie stand out is how raw it is. It is a Swedish film about America because no American studio would make this. I cannot see them doing this. There is female and male genitalia within the first 5 minutes, like right in the camera. I'm not saying like, oh, it's like kind of like in the shadows or you see from the side. No, it's right in the camera. There's a lot of crazy stuff in this movie. I feel that if you showed this to a porn addict, they may basically pull away from porn because it's pretty daunting. It's pretty upsetting at points. There's one specific scene where she has a threesome, and it's pretty rough to watch. It is. But I feel that is the realism. I feel that a lot of girls in the industry, behind the smiles and the makeup and the perfect figures, are broken, and a part of them does die when they do all this. So I really respected the truthfulness of this movie. And that's why I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 porn star hair pieces. Now, the next film I'm going to talk about is Causeway. I watched this on Apple Plus and Apple TV. I'm sorry, Apple TV. And I just like to thank Apple TV. They've always been very good to us here at the site. They have given us access to numerous TV shows and movies throughout the years. And here we have Jennifer Lawrence. Now, 10 years ago, Jennifer Lawrence was the biggest name in Hollywood. She had won the Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook. She was the it girl, and she headlines $1 billion franchise, which was the Hunger Games. As the years progressed after the Hunger Games ended, she kind of faded in. She had a kid, but she's back now, and she plays an ex-soldier who has come back to our hometown of New Orleans after being hit by a bomb in Afghanistan while she was on truck. Some of the people in her truck, her fellow soldiers, died. She came back with neurological problems, and in the beginning of the movie, you see those neurological problems, and you see her trying to conquer it. I think that should have been more extended because Lawrence is fantastic at portraying someone physically broken by the war. This movie is mainly about the mentality of her being broken, but I really like the segments where she's struggling to walk and she's struggling to learn how to drive. So she comes back and she doesn't want to be there. She left New Orleans for a reason, and she runs into Brian Tyree Hill, for you guys, that is Paperboy from Atlanta. He is also broken. I will not talk about why he is broken. I will let you watch this movie. He was nominated for his first Oscar for this film, and it's not surprising. He is very good at this, making it look very easy. He has a very natural charisma on screen. Like, he's not trying, even though the role that he has a lot of depth to it. And the both of them work very well together. There is a lot of scenes where they're just hanging out, talking about their feelings, joking around, smoking weed, drinking, and it just comes off very, very authentic. And I really like this film. I think it's a respectable tribute to those soldiers who have come back and have not been, right in the head. And I think Jennifer Lawrence does a great job. It's not a very boisterous role. It's more subtle. And I think Lawrence contributes a lot to this role. And I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 Jennifer Lawrence hair pieces. Now, for the last movie, I usually say the best movie for last. And that, this time, is She Said. Now, She Said, if you don't know, is about the Harvey Weinstein investigation by 2 New York Times journalists. Here they are played by Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan. Both of these actresses are incredible, both individually and together. They're a team. They're a great team. They break down the cases. They interview various women who had engagements with Weinstein. And, I want to go back to the women because there are, you have Samantha Morton, who made a pretty big dent, in my opinion, for The Whale. I thought she was great in the limited screen time. And here she has a scene as one of the women who was a victim of Weinstein's antics, discussing the antics. But, there are other women in this film who are not as well known, but they're great. They're great. This is a great ensemble. Each of these women had to communicate and relive these moments. You see the fear, the tragedy, the regret, and just basically the psychological breaks these women had to endure, under Harvey Weinstein's rule. Each of these actresses give it their all. They're great. And my opinion is, if one of these actresses was bad, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't be convincing. But I really appreciated the ensemble. 2022 was a great movie year for ensembles. You had this film, and then you had Woman Talking, both mainly woman casts that hit it out of the park, in my opinion. And the subject matter is crazy. You do have an actor playing Harvey Weinstein. He doesn't really talk on screen. You hear his voice on the telephone. When he is on screen, he is shot from the side, the back. Like, the guy looks like Harvey Weinstein, but you never see the front of his face. And I thought this was a great movie that respects journalism, kind of elevates journalism. And most of all, is a great movie that shows that when you get together, when you come together as one to fight an evil, you can take it down. And Harvey Weinstein needs to be taken down because that guy was just a disgusting pig. I know he gave us great movies, but that doesn't change the fact the guy was disgusting. And with that, I am going to give this movie 4.5 out of 5. Not Harvey Weinstein, but Zoe Kazan and Carey Mulligan hair pieces. Well, that's about it for this segment. Come join us at the site, watch our videos. Logan and Henry are always updating reviews on the fly. The guys review everything. I love that about them. Listen to the podcasts. I'll be back with a review for Mario. I just watched Dungeons & Dragons. I'm going to do a video and written review on that. And That's about it. Yeah. So for Cinephellas, I am Kevin Muller. This is Seven with Kevin. And as we say on the site, cheers.